Hi everyone, welcome to Friday Farsight. I'm your host Sheldon Picotti, and this week's topic is digital currencies replacing paper currencies. This is one of those technologies that's always been a little scary to me because it's part of those totalitarian visions of the future where everything is tracked, there's no friction or people living outside society, no bandits in the woods. So there's that, and simply the fact that a society that's completely tracked kind of reduces storytelling possibilities. Again, no bandits in the forest, and kind of like today where we still have hackers on TV doing stuff, but a lot of times those scenarios are not super realistic. We're getting into a more tightly controlled world. But the flip side of that is that sometimes it makes things safer for everyone and reduces corruption. Recently, during the war, Ukraine adopted a fully digital government system where you do everything on your cell phone, and apparently that's not completely reduced corruption, but greatly reduced corruption and increased the trust of the citizens in the government quite a bit. So there's two sides to the coin. So that's plenty of preamble for me. We'll move on to Biff and Betty now. And they'll go into the time frame for this, when we might actually see paper currencies disappear, and what it might mean. Again, remember that this is AI-generated content, so take it with a grain of salt. All right, Biff, Betty, it's all you.
Thanks, Sheldon. What you got, Biff?
Wow, no, really. This one, I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. Like, imagine this, a world where paper money, actual physical cash, is just gone. History.
It's wild, isn't it? And our prediction from Strategic Farsight this week for Friday Farsight paints a pretty clear picture. We're talking about a future where by 2060, give or take 15 years, digital currencies have completely replaced all physical paper money globally.
2060, huh? That's sooner than I would have guessed. I mean, my grandma still sends me a $50 bill for my birthday. You're saying when I'm her age, it'll be, hey, kid, you better check Venmo. How does this happen?
Well, it's not just a flick of a switch, Beth. It's a whole journey. It's really interesting because the journey to a cashless society, it's already well underway, but it's happening at totally different paces worldwide. Think about Sweden, for example. Their cash transactions have actually fallen to less than 10% of all payments.
Oh, wow. That's going all in. I guess Sweden is known for being progressive. Does that mean that cashless is the new vegan?
I don't know about that, but their central bank, the Riksbank, they've been expecting the country to be effectively cashless by the end of this year. They may still have a ways to go, but one thing is clear. There aren't any technical roadblocks, even in 2025, to make this happen.
Except maybe all that, paper and metal getting passed around or sitting in piggy banks. I guess you don't just wave a magic wand and make it disappear.
Well, countries have done it, like when India has, as recently as 2016, demonetized certain dollar bills to, in theory, disrupt the shadow economy. They found out the hard way that you can't be so capricious without hurting the real economy, too.
So who out there is doing it right?
Well, China, they're another huge frontrunner. They're combining an aggressive CBDC implementation, that's their digital yuan, with their already super widespread adoption of digital payment platforms like Alipay and WeChat Pay. The Bank for International Settlements, the BIS, even reports that over 90% of central banks globally are now exploring CBDCs, central bank digital currencies, with 26% already piloting them.
So this isn't just a Swedish thing. It's like a global push then. But you said it's not going to be uniform, right? Some places are probably going to be dragging their feet.
You got it. The article stresses that complete replacement will follow an uneven, staged progression. First, you have what they call pioneering adopters from 2025 to 2035. That's Sweden, China, potentially South Korea. They'll achieve a near-complete digital transition first.
So pretty soon we have these early adopters. Like you land in their country with these pieces of paper in your pocket, and you're like some barbarian
with a bone in your nose.
Pretty much. Then stage 2, developed economies from 2035 to 2050. This is where most advanced economies, like the US with the Federal Reserve exploring a digital dollar, or Europe with the ECB's digital euro, reach that tipping point where digital currencies become the default. Paper currency just gets increasingly rare.
Okay, so Europe and North America finally catch up, to the cool kids in Asia and Scandinavia. And then what? The rest of the world just kind of falls in line?
Well, that's stage 3, global completion from 2050 to 2075. This final phase involves developing nations, and it's going to require addressing some significant infrastructure gaps.
All right, Betty, I'm with you on the grand vision, but let's pump the brakes a little. Tell me, what are the speed bumps here? Because, I can see a few, like privacy, for one. Or what if the power goes out?
Absolutely, Biff. The article's very clear that there are critical enablers and hurdles. For one, complete replacement demands universal access to digital payment systems. The International Telecommunication Union, the ITU, estimates that as of 2023, roughly 1/3 of the global population still lacked meaningful internet access.
That's what I'm saying. It's like you set up Big Brother from that book, 1984, but half the world can't afford a TV. You need everyone on board for this to truly work, don't you?
You do. And while mobile banking has helped bridge some of these gaps, like Kenya's M-Pesa is a great example, significant divides absolutely remain. Another major hurdle is simply resilience and backup systems. Concerns about system vulnerabilities, cybersecurity threats, or widespread power outages, they're far from being fully addressed. Even Sweden's Riksbank admits they need contingency systems, suggesting some physical currency might even persist as a backup.
Sort of like printing out a copy of a contract, just in case. I get it. What about just, people liking cash? I mean, my grandma, like I said, she still pays for everything in cash or check. She doesn't want to squint at those little checkout screens and try to figure out which button isn't, "Hey there, sign up for our credit card."
That's actually a huge point the article brings up, Beth. And it's something economists like Kenneth Rogoff, the former IMF chief economist, discuss. He argues in his book, The Curse of Cash, that complete elimination faces profound challenges, especially regarding privacy, anonymity, and crucially, cultural attachment to physical money.
Yeah, there's something about cold, hard cash, isn't there? It feels more real.
The Bank for International Settlements even highlights what they call the cash paradox. While cash use in daily transactions has definitely declined in many advanced economies, the total value of physical currency in circulation has actually increased. It suggests cash retains important functions beyond daily payments, like being a store of value or for emergency preparedness.
So people are hoarding it, like for the apocalypse, not spending it. Interesting. And what about the digital divide you mentioned earlier? That seems like a pretty big hurdle for global domination.
Possibly the biggest hurdle. The World Bank data indicates that digital payment adoption correlates strongly with income levels, education, and existing infrastructure. The gaps between developed and developing economies in these areas suggest that 2060 might actually be quite optimistic for truly complete global replacement. So it's not a foregone conclusion, but Strategic Farsight really thinks that 2060 timeline with that 15-year interval is the most probable. They see it as a balanced assessment of competing factors.
Sounds like they put a lot of thought into that date. But what makes them so sure this is even going to happen?
Well, for one, as we noted earlier, the technology for complete digital currency adoption already exists, and it's maturing rapidly. Think about it. We've got all the payment apps, the digital wallets. It's not science fiction anymore.
Fair enough. My phone is basically my wallet these days, I'll admit.
And CBDC development, that's central bank digital currencies, has accelerated dramatically since 2020. Major economies are quickly progressing towards implementation. Plus, digital payment adoption follows an S-curve pattern, typical of technological diffusion, where it starts slow, but then accelerates as network effects take hold.
So it's like everyone gets on board because everyone else is already on board. The ultimate FOMO.
Precisely. And the remaining challenges, they argue, are primarily infrastructural, social, and regulatory, rather than fundamentally technological. It's about building out the pipes, getting people comfortable, and setting up the rules. And finally, historical precedent for major financial system transformations like the credit card revolution suggests multi-decade timeframes for complete transitions.
Okay, I'm starting to get it. It's not a sudden big bang. It's more like a creeping vine, gradually taking over. But what does it mean for, like, my everyday life? No more feeling actual money in my hand. No way to ever, turn those numbers into anything but more numbers.
Imagine, Biff, no more fumbling for change at the grocery store. Every transaction instant, seamless, traceable. You wouldn't need an ATM ever again because, well, there'd be no cash to withdraw.
Right. No more cash only signs. No more worries about losing your wallet, just your phone, which is a different problem. But what about, the kids' piggy bank I mentioned before, or street performers? Do they get, like, digital tips?
That's the kind of thing that would evolve. Maybe street performers have QR codes or digital tip jars. And for kids, it could be educational, learning about digital budgets from a young age. It really changes everything about how we perceive money, moving from something tangible to something purely informational.
So we're talking a total rewiring of how we interact with money. Money will be almost like a part of us, real only by being an idea in our heads. It'll be a score we're given the moment we're born, like a number in a video game. But still, I feel like I'm losing my train of thought here. But still a social mechanism, right? We'll still need it to get what we want in the physical world. It'll be purely imaginary and yet vital to our lives, like an emotion.
Well, that's all money ever was, right? A way to regulate human relationships.
Maybe that's what I'm trying to say. We go from a time when simple trading between nations involved tons of gold being shipped back and forth to just living together in society, part of which is buying and selling.
It truly is a fascinating future, Beth. The complete replacement of paper currencies by digital alternatives, it's virtually inevitable, given current trajectories. But, like we discussed, the timeline stretches further than many technology optimists predict.
Yeah, it's not an overnight thing. It's going to happen in waves, with the pioneering economies leading the charge, then the developed ones, and then the rest of the world catches up after solving some big infrastructure and cultural puzzles.
And it's so important to remember that central bank digital currencies, the CBDCs, they're the ones driving this, not private cryptocurrencies. Governments will maintain control over monetary policy.
So by 2060, then paper money is basically an antique, a relic of a bygone era. I can already imagine future historians marveling at how we used to pass little pieces of paper back and forth.
Exactly. It'll be a historical curiosity in most of the world, with digital currencies, primarily CBDCs, having become the standard medium of exchange and store of value across the global economy. And that's our deep dive into the future of money for this week's Friday Farsight.
It's definitely a future I'll be keeping an eye on, if I still have eyes in 2060.
For all the details and to explore more incredible predictions about our future, remember to visit the Strategic Farsight website.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. We'll be back next week with another fascinating glimpse into what's ahead.
See you then.